And then you just leave it alone for just a few minutes, and it works. I just go take a break.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I know you'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do.
And usually that's the good stuff too.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's the stuff that you don't expect. You know, that all of a sudden that's the hook.
You're like, oh man, I like the fact that I screwed that up. Let's do that again. Can you do it again? I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, and you can never do it live. It's never the same.
Do you ever have to relearn your own guitar solo?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you sure that was me? I'm feeling suspicious right now. I have a suspicious mind.
Mm-hmm. So hey everybody, we're live. We're here.
We're live.
We're live. It's 5:05 p.m. out here. It is, Ronnie. It is.
It's 5:05 in my part of the world. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. See, we don't have too many California people on here, so I can finally say that
we're hard to pin down.
Yeah.
It's because you're all rock stars.
Yeah. No, it's because we're so easily distracted. What? Wait, what? No, okay.
Huh?
No, I'll stay.
Man, it's August 30th too. I think we can all agree it's August 30th.
Yes.
Well, it is.
Somebody, it's September. No, is there 31 days in August?
31, right? 31, buddy.
Wow, I'm working with a good group here, so that's good. I have to look sometimes too. It's fair. That's fair.
I'm just here to make everybody else look smarter. That's why they brought me on.
Mm-hmm. Mike, thank you, Mike. Awesome stuff.
Mike.
So yeah, everybody, it's Johnny Beane and David Nesdall's here. Jay Hannon.
Hi.
And Ronnie Lee is in the house as well.
Hey. How are you?
Hello.
I feel a little bit New Yorker-ish because I'm just starting to shake the accent right now after being over there a couple weeks ago with you.
I know. I felt like you were my neighbor.
I know we had bagels like twice.
We had bagels.
That officially, like I could have moved in.
Well, you could have if you wanted to. I mean,
I know. You guys are so sweet. You're very accommodating that way.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing because most people think New Yorkers are assholes.
Well, you do have a reputation, so I think that's how you keep more people out of New York.
No, but we, especially in this household, we love our friends, and
I did not meet one cranky New Yorker, and I attended the Steve Vai Academy, as you know, with Larry Mitchell and all those guys. So I was there at Glen Cove. Now this is Long Island, and then we played. Yay! Then we played in Smithtown, which, by the way, I just ran into somebody yesterday from Smithtown. So weird.
No kidding.
Crazy when stuff like that happens. So,
that's like a real small town.
Yeah, she was at some convention at some place down here because I'm in San Diego, which is a big tourist town, a lot of people here. So, and I said Smithtown, I said Long Island and Smithtown. She goes, "Oh, Katie's." I'm like, "Yeah." So, and then I went to Manhattan and I had a great experience there. Mm-hmm. I didn't get anything stolen. It was awesome. All the things that people warned me about, nothing happened. I was looking for trouble, couldn't make it happen. You just keep a smile on your face. I guess that works pretty good too. Usually if you're polite, people are polite back. It makes them feel bad if they're a jerk after
I feel in New York, it's almost like when you are polite to somebody, they're caught by surprise. It's like,
right. Whoa. Yeah, so it takes them a minute to react. By that time, you're gone, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the Met and we saw the rock and roll exhibit, and everybody was.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
How was it?
It was great. I got some great pictures of, Jimmy Page's dragon suit holding his Les Paul. And then, I'm friends with the guys from Heart, the ex-guys and current guys and all that. And I'm standing in there, and Roger Fisher's a good friend of mine. I know people say that, but he actually is a good friend of mine. And so I texted him. I said, "Roger, you're following me." So, because he's right there. It was the excerpt when they got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I was there for that too. Mm-hmm. So it was such a cool thing, and they had the original Fender Tele prototype. I mean, cool stuff. And I'm not a gear geek, as you guys will find out shortly. If you ask me any questions, but that kind of stuff is still very cool to me. That whole invention of things and how it progressed, and just the fact that that stuff still exists. Stevie Ray Vaughan's one of his original guitars,
Yeah, his main guitar. That was amazing.
It's just, the Beatles drum set, for God's sakes. I mean, stuff that it was very cool to see. I spent some time in there. I didn't see anything else, actually. I've heard they had other art in there as well, but I didn't see it.
Oh, like actual paintings. And
There's actual paintings apparently and stuff in there.
Yeah,
Not
natural
like the
history.
Louvre, takes days. So you have to pick your poison. But it was great. It was great. I saw everything, man. I saw the Statue of Liberty. I went to the 9/11. I went to the Dakota. My mom lived in the Dakota in the 70s. So
Wow.
she used to tell me about it. In fact, she lived there when John Lennon lived there.
So did you know John?
Well, I don't think they braided each other's hair or anything, because when you're like that, you kind of go in and out. You kind of don't necessarily hang with your neighbors. And she was friend with Judy Collins, and she hung out with her, and she told me some stories. She says, they were a very interesting couple, and she would wave to them a little bit in the hallways. But so I got to go there. I had never really seen that. Just, of course, like what we all see. So it was fun. I had a great New York experience, man. I can't wait to go back. Really, really can't. I've been there before when back in the 80s, when Venus and the Razor Blades were doing well, and the Runaways and everything, CBGBs and all that. 77 through 80, I was in New York, but I haven't been back there since, because I'm a West Coast girl, and I go to Europe. I fly over it every year. I go to Europe and play, but so got to add that to the list now, because I travel a lot. I don't travel as much as Larry Mitchell does, but man, I'm on the road a lot. So.
Yeah, that guy. My
That
God.
guy.
Like, at least
I want to see his miles account, right?
250 dates a year, I guess, or more.
Oh my God, it's just crazy. I mean, even when we were in New York, he's like, "Well, I got to go to Syracuse, and then I'll come back on Wednesday, and then I'm going to go to Italy, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to." I can't even. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how he does that.
And when you watch his Tuesday Night Lives on Facebook,
Yeah.
when he starts to tell everybody what he's got coming up, you start to understand why he's like, wait a minute, what day is that again? Because he's just like, he's constantly going.
But doesn't he look so calm?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like,
Great.
and then I'm just playing this really cool lick really calmly. I'm calm. I'm like, man, I would not be calm with that schedule. I would be like, oh God, where's my Google Calendar? I got like 8 of them, and none of them are working.
Right now?
Where's my day timer?
what year is it?
Oh, the year I got, yeah, that's true. I still think it's 2018. I'm pretty sure it's still 2018. I'm just going to skip this whole one. So so I met Dave through Larry, through the whole Steve Vai thing. And that's how we got to be friends. And that's how I got to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And those of you that don't know who Roni is, Roni has a whole list of things, but she was one of the members of the Runaways.
Not a member of the Runaways.
Well,
I was a member of Venus and the Razor Blades, and I wrote for the Runaways, and we were all managed by Kim Fowley. We were in a little group of, I guess you'd call them like a stable.
Okay, well,
underage kid players.
Oh, that's okay.
And I'm just gonna
apologize. I thought
that's
that was,
okay. A lot of people misunderstand because I have a gold record with them.
Mm-hmm.
And Joan and I were good friends, and we worked to, so everybody gets that time period a little bit confused, including the people that were involved in it, by the way. And the Runaways did have a revolving door. They had a number of different players, a number of different groupings.
Well, that's why I thought.
Right. Now, I was supposed to play bass, but a certain member put the kibosh on that one, and we won't talk about it, but let's just say teenage girls haven't changed ever.
Yeah, you're right.
They will always be teenage girls, okay? And it was also a very short-lived band. A lot of people don't realize that either. It didn't last very long. Venus and the Razor Blades didn't last very long either. Kim Fowley was very good at coming up with concepts, and he was the PR king of the world. And I had my name on a T-shirt in Japan before I'd ever left San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. So it's just, and that was before the internet. So the guy was the guy was amazing at that. For all the things that he was and reputed to be, and there's a whole conversation about Kim Fowley we could have. I was with him almost until the day he died in 2015. We remained friends, and I saw him quite a few times. In fact, there's a video of I Want to Be Where the Boys Are that Kim is talking on and is part of, that I just did a few years ago, that he was involved with. So yeah, that's where it gets a little bit confusing, but again, it was all part of that scene at the time. So.
Okay, cool.
To make sure people get, different things out in the internet, I just like to keep things, straight for me.
I totally get it. So someone by the name of Cat Riot is in the chat.
Hi, Cat.
And she says that you rock.
Yes, Cat rocks too. Cat's coming to our motel show. We're playing with the motels in Los Angeles next month, and she's makes it out to a lot of shows. She lives in Los Angeles. She's an awesome girl and a fan. In fact, she's got a little cameo in the "I Want to Be Where the Boys Are" video, right, Cat?
Oh, cool.
So, cool. Cat is a player as well. She's really a sweetheart. Yeah.
Nice. I thought that message was for me, actually.
Oh, sorry. No. Could have been.
Yeah. So
I'll just take it over.
Ron Limber asks, Ronnie, have you ever met Phil Spector?
No, I haven't, but I have the right name for it. So yes, I've actually. I somehow missed, and I did meet Prince, and that was an interesting meeting because he gave me a life lecture. It was before he was actually even very popular. He gave me a little lecture about keeping my stuff together, and because we were partying, and he was a very religious kind of thing, and it always stuck with me. Mm-hmm. So I met some interesting characters back in the late 70s, early 80s that went on to, Van Halen, of course, and we'll talk a little bit about all that. Mm-hmm. But and other, people like Al Stewart even. Al Stewart was really, really impactful to me because he was an older dude. Jeff Beck, and Jeff was great. Just Zeppelin, all those guys. Fortunately, when we were younger, these guys were pretty nice to us, and we were musicians, so I had good experiences. I guess other people maybe didn't, but everybody was pretty cool to me. So
mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah. But no, I didn't get a chance to meet Phil. He's more just a little bit different. We were punkers, punk rock. I wore razor blades in my ears and, stuff like that. But Kim did a cattle call. I was working in Reno on the road even then as a 17-year-old. And I heard that Kim Fowley was looking for girl musicians and had put together a band called the Runaways. And I was like, well, I'm a girl musician. And I was the only girl guitar player I'd ever seen. So that played electric, I played lead. Right. And I had a friend of mine, Rick Derringer. He was in Johnny Winter. We were all hanging out in Reno, and we would play. And then after the show, we'd stay up until 6 a.m. and stay awake on stuff and play blackjack and things like that. And I think two, in there. But so I kept trying to call Kim Fowley and tell him I was a guitar player. He didn't believe me. He said, no, you're a reporter. And he kept hanging up on me. Back then, the only way to reach anybody was by phone. So I call him again. I'm a guitar player. No, you're not. Yes, I am. And we argued about it. So he goes, well, if you can be in LA on Tuesday with your amp playing in your apartment dressed for stage, I'll believe you. So I did. Rick gave me a silver lame jumpsuit, and because we were the same size, we still are. and I dressed up in my living room with my Flying V and my Marshall stack, and he walked in, and I played something off a Jeff Beck album, and I got hired for Venus of the Razor Blades. So.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that was fun. That was on Gower. If anybody knows where Gower is in Hollywood,
yeah. I used to stay.
Were bigger than us. But
when I was in this band 10 years ago, and we would stay at a friend's house, and it was on Gower.
Oh, a lot of apartments back then, yeah, or still actually even, and it's still just as rough as it was then. But yeah, and then we played a lot with this little band from Pasadena called Van Halen, and they were, because the punk was just hitting LA. So Joan was super into Sex Pistols, and her and I were running around. We were so excited about. We were making our own clothes because you couldn't go and buy punk clothing because there was no such thing, you know. So we had to make everything. So a lot of our time was spent making clothes, making cool clothes that we couldn't buy at Sears. So we tied razor blades and safety pins in our clothes and cut them and ratted our hair. I cut her hair and Cherie's and Sandy's for one of their albums because I was the only one that knew how to make a Rod Stewart thing. So
Rod Stewart thing.
You know, just to make it poop up at the top. They're like, well, how does that? Because you know.
Well, you know, I tried to do the Rod Stewart thing, and look what happened. Terrible.
Yeah. Well, anything overdone, right? So you know, where the album where they're all hanging on the poles, I did most of their hair for that.
That's awesome.
I got to be really good at that particular cut. So my point is, we had to do everything ourselves. Everything, all of our clothes, everything that you see in there was all really done by us. There wasn't anywhere to go buy rock and roll clothes. There was no Warren Star at that time. So it was kind of fun. It was like everything we did was new. Everything that we did. The only person, Jones, she was a huge fan of Suzi Quatro. So am I. Everybody was, because she was the only girl that we knew that was playing rock and roll that I had seen, you know, with an instrument. So,
wow. So let me ask a question. How hard was it to make a living back then playing rock and roll when it was all about disco?
Well, disco really wasn't there yet. It didn't seem to be a problem because, again, we had a little bit early 80s was tough. Disco did. In fact, I have a funny picture with Rodney Bingenheimer. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was the DJ on KROQ, K-Rock in LA, and played Venus and the Razor Blades songs in Runaways, big punker. And he had a t-shirt on that we took a famous photo with, said "Death to Disco." So it was happening, but you know, there was still a pretty strong rock. I mean, look at the 80s came along and glam rock just exploded. So the hard thing was, like it is now, just making money and touring, you know, but record labels back then were a little more free with the money. So we had budgets, you know, and we could pay our rent and we had money, and which is not what the deal is anymore, unfortunately. Record labels don't give you $100,000 advances anymore.
Nope. So
you're lucky if they pay for your costs of a tour and an album and some, you know, some promotional stuff, depending on your deal. So a big difference between then and back then, you know, nobody did independent. You didn't do yourself. You didn't make records independently.
Yeah.
Your record label. And we were with Island and Chris Blackwell, and I was with a couple. I've been with a few labels. I was on Mushroom Records for a while. The same one as Heart, up there for a while. So, you know, so again, very different. Music industry was handled way differently back then. Yeah. Now everybody's great at it. Everybody's got an in-home studio, and
you have to. You have to. It's
yeah.
You know, if you don't, then there's no one's helping you.
Problem is, what happens with that is you can make a great product, but you still can't get it out there. And everybody thinks, well, I'm done. The album's done. Now let it happen. And it's like, well, you still have to have promotions. In fact, that's where the biggest expense runs is promoting that and just distributing it. You know, I'm happen to be with Sony Orchard distributions for my stuff. And even that it's not cheap to get it out there, you know, and you got to push it and you got to pay for it. And it's expensive. It's kind of like opening a great restaurant, and not telling anybody, you know, except a few close friends. You still have to, you know, you have to pay for it all yourself. And of course, now you have to be everything. You have to be your own label. You have to be your own social media expert. You have to be your own distributor. You have to do everything. So
that's got to be the toughest thing. I mean, it's
really
tougher to be a musician actually at any time than it is to, I mean, you could be a brain surgeon quicker.
It is. You know what it is? It's all about the time. It sucks your time up because you want to be writing, you want to be playing, you want to be doing all that. But Instead, you know, in the 70s and late 70s, early in the 80s, when we were rocking out, I don't remember doing anything else except getting on stage and playing and sleeping and writing. I just don't remember having to do any of that. You know, I mean, we would record, but there was always someone doing that because they did that well and I didn't. And now it just is not like that. The best, you know, look at Larry Mitchell. He's such a great example of it. This is really the Larry Mitchell show, but he's just a good example of a guy that just knows how to do all that stuff, you know, and it's important. Makes a difference.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there's a lot of great musicians that they're great players or just musicians in general, but they don't know how to market or anything like that. And that's fine. I mean, you're good at what you're good at, but it kind of sucks when you're putting out an album and you're like, I have no idea what to do with anything. I'm not good at promoting anything like that. So it's takes special.
It's tough, man. One of my the Dead Daisies are a good example, I think, of a band that just is they're a rock band. So again, that's kind of hard to be successful anyway these days in a touring rock band, and you can't sell, you know, people they say aren't buying records. Aerosmith's last record sold a fraction of what Aerosmith usually sells because people aren't, again, the streaming and all that is just cut into it. No one's got the answer yet. Everybody's, you know, got a little bit of the answer, but it's still tough unless you're still a pop star like Taylor Swift. Nothing wrong with that, but pop music has always, you know, taken the lion's share of the market. That's how it works. And rock and roll, you know, has got its arenas, but it's not easy. Mm-hmm. So, but even back in the day, like when we were playing with Van Halen, we were kind of making fun of them a little bit because they were still glam rocking it, and punk was in. So like, what are these guys doing? This Running with the Devil song? It's just never going to catch on, ever. No. Every time we played with them, I was like, Running with the Devil, yeah. And David was so great. We had so much fun backstage, though. Oh my God, we wrestled. Joan and I loved wrestling. We were always very, very, because you get your adrenaline. In punk rock, you got to get your adrenaline up. You don't just, you know, have a glass of wine and saunter on stage. You got to get pumped up because it's all about the energy in punk. Always about the energy. So we'd be back there, and one night in particular, we all played the Whiskey, our three bands. So I got on David's shoulders, and Joan got on, I don't know, the bass player or somebody's, and we were just fighting like we should have been in a pool, but we weren't. So we put holes in the walls. I shoved my boot through one of the walls backstage at the Whiskey. And since then, I was like, I asked people, I play the Whiskey quite a bit. And I said, where are those walls? Because you guys either you painted over them or you replaced them. And it's too bad because I played there with the Ramones. I played there with all kinds of people. And they all signed the walls, people's signatures and boot holes and everything. And those walls they got to be, I pray to God they didn't paint over them. Hopefully somebody's got them in their house. But so David put me in a barrel, famous whiskey barrel, and rolled me down the stairs of the backstage. I did live through it.
Wow.
I know. Everything he did, he just did it one more, you know? Like, this is fun, but this is more fun, which is probably why he was so successful on stage, you know? Mm-hmm. Man, that guy was an acrobat. I'll tell you, he was super, and a very nice guy. To this day, still, if I were to ask him for a hello or a backstage, you know. So did Joan. I saw Joan the other day. Here's my T-shirt. I'm wearing her shirt. I love rock and roll. She was just here the other day, and so we met up and hung out and chatted a bit.
Yeah, there were some great pictures on Facebook.
Yeah. She's just a really nice, you know, people they're just like everybody else. Some people are not cool and some people are. And she's a very, very sweet, sweet person. She really is. Mm-hmm. As insecure potentially as the rest of us. How did I look? How was everything? You know, like you looked great. Everything was great. You know, just wanted to make sure. Just played for 9,000 people and it looked pretty good to me. But No, she was awesome, and she's on tour with Heart right now. So,
Oh, cool.
those girls,
Yeah, they're incredible. I mean,
they're
and,
great.
and
They've
Wilson,
had some.
what a voice, huh?
Oh my God,
And Nancy
she
too.
sounds just like she ever sounded. Honestly, just like she ever sounded. So
Yeah,
it's great. No,
So-
but it's I don't get out much to shows, so it was really nice to see her. Well, I was trying to get a hold of her in New York, but she was out here, so we were swapping beaches, I guess.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So where did you see her?
Saw her in San Diego. She was just here. She has actually family that lives here too, but she was playing a show here with Heart and just 3 nights ago. Yeah, so I went out, and she's always very gracious, and we meet up backstage and hang out, and it's tiring to do that too. So I always appreciate that. We chat for a little while, and we still chat even through emails and stuff once in a while too. So we had my song was in the movie, so my music is used in a lot of stuff that they do. So we do get a chance to talk about that, but we don't talk about the business too much. Talk about other stuff mostly. There's not much to talk about the business. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was in one of my favorite movies growing up. This movie called Light of Day.
I love that movie.
I just sang that at the Whiskey the other night.
Really?
Yeah, it's so funny it's so weird because that song hasn't come up in 30 years. She was with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
And the Whiskey, they had this thing called Ultimate Jam Night, and it's on Tuesdays. And it's a pretty big deal. Chuck Wright runs it, and they always have a theme. Well, they had a Bruce Springsteen theme. Not very many people know it, but he wrote that song, Light of Day. So they said, anytime Joan Jett's involved, or Runaways, or Venus and the Razor Blades, or that I get the call. So they said, "Can you sing that and play on that one?" And I said, "Yeah." And it was so much fun. I think I'm going to add it to my set list now.
Oh, that's great.
Oh man, I'd love to hear that.
I know, that was a great. So I think I'm going to have to bring it back. I have versions. I have a version of Cherry Bomb out there as well that I've done on some TV shows. And one of the things I've done, like I've sang on the show Defiance, I'm one of the vocalists on that show. So when you hear people screaming and yelling and singing rock and roll alien tunes, that would be me.
They made a video game after that show, didn't they?
I probably.
Yeah,
I think they did, because I was looking for one of the songs that I sang a full-length song on was Mama's Got Her Groove Back. And it was so cool because it was when the alien had something in her neck and then they took it out. So, that's about all I remember of it. But I saw that I pulled that up, and I thought I saw video games too. So it's pretty. They had some cool characters. It's probably why.
I never watched the show, but I did play the video game. So.
Yeah, I watched the show when I started singing because I'm like, well, you need to know what's going on here. Is and I like sci-fi, so
it's awesome.
Who doesn't?
I know, man. I've been binging on a couple because when you travel a lot, all you have is Hulu and Netflix, so you just you get up to speed on all that stuff.
That's all I have in general. All I have is Hulu and Netflix.
I go home, which is very rare, and I don't even know how to turn my TV on. I'm going to be honest with you, because apparently there's a couple other things you got to do, and I just don't have time to mess with that. So I just throw on Apple TV and watch what I watch on the road. I'm like, why am I paying for this? I don't know. Probably, I'm sure there's a reason, but someday I'm going to have to watch the news.
Someone's got to get our money.
No, don't watch the news. Don't watch the news.
Don't watch the news. Hey, I get all my news off of Facebook.
So we have a couple things in the chat. Mike as himself asks, what is the radius on a 1984 reissued Floyd Rose? I have a Jackson with a 12 to 16 compound radius. Not sure if I need to add or remove shims. There's going to be a shim underneath the Floyd Rose. With the shim, it's about a 10-inch radius, and without the shim, it'll be a 12-inch radius. Take the shim out. Jasco Plumbing Supply said, I met you, Ronnie, at the Academy. We were online together for registration.
Oh,
Yes.
You know, that was a long line. Tell him to send me a message on Facebook, Roni Lee Group, and I'll say hi. And
Cool.
that was such a fun night.
That
It was like one long day for me, but
it really was a great time. The little bit I got to spend there was pretty amazing.
oh my gosh, I met so many awesome people there, including the players. But yeah, did you ask him did you like the academy? Did he have fun?
I think he did. Yeah,
Awesome. I mean, the registration, let's see. So everybody got to play. Everybody played with Steve. I'll tell you what I loved about the Steve Vai Academy, and this is what I love about Steve. I don't know him very well, but I did meet him at another jam that I did with him in Los Angeles. It was like the Pajama Jam or something like that. And it's also a benefit that he does. The guy was in the dressing room. I was in the dressing room with him, and I don't usually bug people. It's just sort of a thing that you don't do if people are trying to relax. And it looked like he'd been up for a considerably long amount of time. He was there way too late. So one of the stage guys or his handler or whatever came in and said to him, Steve, you've been here 4 hours longer than you were supposed to be. You should go. You know, Steve didn't know I heard this. I was kind of back in the corner doing my thing. He said, you know what? He goes, everybody came here to play. I don't want to disappoint anybody. It would really be a bummer to disappoint people when they came to play. I'm not going to leave. I'm like, who says this? He didn't have to say that. And he didn't have to say it so nice. He could have just said, yeah, you know, this is, and he stuck it out just like he did at the Vai Academy till the very last person, the very last hour, as long as it took. And he kept a smile on his face. And every single person that he played with had a learning moment. That's a lot of learning moments, if you know how many people go to those things. Yeah. He worked with people. There was all level of players. Some people were very, very much beginners. Some people thought they weren't. Some people weren't. It's just every level that you can get. And I was so impressed by his character and what a cool guy he was. That even though that style of music isn't necessarily mine, I am a fan of the man for sure. No question about it. So that was just a cool time, because you can go to those things and learn stuff, but have an experience like that is a very different. So anybody that went, I'm sure, had a great time. The hotel was a little weird.
That place is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. They should knock it down.
They really should. Somebody either needs to close it, remodel it, or just bulldoze that thing, because it ain't no mansion, okay? Yeah, I gotta tell you, it's called a mansion, but it has a loose word for that. But fortunately, the people made it cool. So. You work on guitars, and you got some just gorgeous stuff, man. And
thank you.
I play PRS. I'm a PRS artist, but I don't play PRS because of that. I played PRS way before they ever took me on. But I like PRSs because I can play all night, different styles on one guitar. I do have a Les Paul. I do have a couple other guitars. But I'll tell you what, I haven't had very many guitars that can handle kind of everything like I have on a PRS. But the stuff that you've got at your house was pretty spectacular.
It's fun stuff. And I have something new to show tonight, which I will in a little while.
Okay.
But real quick, John BL5150, who is one of the hosts on our Saturday night show with Johnny, says, great guest tonight, guys. Awesome stories, Roni.
Thank you. Well, some of them we can't tell online, but I'll tell you. No.
Oh, yeah.
We did have, there was, here's the thing. There was absolutely nobody running the show back then. That's the one thing I will say is here we were all teenagers, and there was no adults present. Like now, Dakota Fanning talked about this during the Runaways movie, her and Kristen Stewart. They said, the difference is when these girls were on the street, they were in charge of themselves, which of course was chaos to some degree. And now, I mean, there's rules and teachers on set, because my daughter models and does some stuff like that. And there's all these parameters and, the limited amount of time, and you got an on-site teacher and all these things, and they actually care about whether they walk out of the studio at midnight by themselves, and not us, man. It was kill or be killed. There was just no supervision. I didn't even see, and I know Joan's parents were there. In fact, I saw Joan's brother the other night, but we were just so, in some ways, kind of out of control. We just did our own thing, somehow survived it. But I mean, wow. There were some rough things that happened. I'm not going to say that there wasn't, and I witnessed a lot of it. But and some of it's probably just luck that it didn't happen to us. And a part of it is being an actual musician. We were a little bit more into band and maybe not taken advantage of in some ways, because if you were a player or a writer, how many playing, writing girl guitar players were there back then?
Right. That's true. So Fruitcake Tony asks to ask you, do you have any stories about Lita Ford?
Yes, I do, and I can't say what they are.
All right.
No, I'll tell you what I do know about Lita. And Lita was very intense about her playing, and she hung out with Ritchie Blackmore a lot. She was a big fan of Ritchie Blackmore's, and Ritchie was a big presence in Hollywood at the time. In fact, he would sit at the Rainbow and drink his Heinekens. I've been to his house. All he had is at his house. He wouldn't allow any rock and roll music to be played. You could only play classical. And he had that scalloped guitar neck that I don't know how anybody plays that, to be quite honest. But he was a very quiet, very reserved guy. And she kind of took after that. She just really thought he was cool. And she learned a lot of what she knows from Ritchie. So I was more of a Jeff Beck, I had a different path, but she was very, very reserved too. She didn't hang with us as far as, me and Joan and Sandy were kind of a trio, and Cherie did her own thing. And then Lita was really off to Lita lived with Kim Fowley, not in that sense, but, lived at his house. And he was very cool with her, and a lot of those things that they say went on, I guess, I did see some things, but Lita, Lita was always serious about her craft, and she knew exactly what she wanted to do, and she did it. So she's the same way today. We don't hang out. We were never I don't know if it's the guitar thing or what. I hang out with Cherie and Joan, and of course Sandy passed away about 12 years ago now, unfortunately, of lung cancer. And Sandy and I were probably the best friends of all the Runaways. In fact, we had a house together in Santa Monica for quite a while. So, but
wow.
they were beach kids. Well, Cherie and them were from the Valley, and Lita was from Long Beach. So, but Lita was always very serious girl.
She seems it.
Yeah, she just did her own thing, and like I said, she took everything she did very, very much to heart. But big Ritchie Blackmore fan. Her and Ritchie were hung out quite a bit. Wore very short pants. I don't know who put that. It's funny too, they didn't have anybody telling them what to wear. In a sense, Kim did tell us, like Eunice and the Razor Blades, we had to wear razor blades out in public all the time. We had to wear leather jackets. We had to wear a certain outfit, and so did the Runaways. We all had to wear certain things out in public. That was part of our deal. But as far as stage gear, we all picked our own stage gear, and like I said, we made our own clothes. Cherie had someone making. In fact, we had some of the same people making our clothing for stage, and Cherie with her silver jumpsuit that she wore, and Joan and I wore a lot of jumpsuits as well. It was a big jumpsuit era for some reason. But anyway, so it was interesting, but we could not go out without a certain look. We weren't allowed it in public without looking a certain way. Not that we weren't faking it, but I'm just saying there are certain things we had to do. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. It was because it was very much, Kim built those bands. Joan was very into it. Joan, from the very, very beginning, she wanted to be in a band, and she and Kim found her, and of course they put the Runaways together. But Kim did it with cattle calls, and Joan and Kim went out to the valley to a place called the Sugar Shack to find a singer. And so Cherie was not a singer when they found Cherie. She just looked like Cherie Curry, and they wanted to put her in the outfit. So she developed as a singer later on. But that was kind of the story with that one.
Wow.
And then, you know.
The dog asked Roni, remember the Starwood?
Of course. Last time I played with the Motels with us at the Starwood, and we're playing again together next month. I loved the Starwood. It was my favorite bar in Hollywood because it was huge, first of all, big stage. And it was 2 bars. It was a disco on one side of it, and you walk down this hallway and into the club. But it was one of the best venues for rock and roll in Los Angeles. Absolutely, bar none. It's awesome. In fact, I have some pictures. Some of the best pictures I have, live pictures, were at the Starwood. So,
is it the same type of place now with the different name, or is it totally gone?
No, it's gone. But there's a Facebook page that has memories of the Starwood and people that post pictures and stuff. It's still, there's Simone.
Hey, Pop.
There she is. Hey, girl. So yeah, there's still a Facebook page, and I think Betty Starr, I don't know if that's a real person or not, but they keep the Starwood alive, posting pictures and things from that time. But it's gone. Yeah, the building's gone. Of course, the Rainbow's still there, exactly the same as it ever was. The Roxy's still there. On the Rocks is still there. The Whiskey's still there. The Viper Room was not the Viper Room at the time. It's undergone a couple changes. It used to be Filthy McNasty's, which was a club I played when it was prior to being the Viper Room. And then there was Guitarist, which was next to the Rainbow, which is now kind of a hip hop bar, I think, something like that. The building is, I know, I saw you grimace. The building is still there, but it is not a rock bar anymore. But Guitarist was also, man, a great place to play. Really small, but super fun.
So Blank Palette 2 says, Roni Lee, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm bowing to you as we speak. Now he actually has a question here. I have to find it. Give me 1 second. He says, Roni, how was your experience in Europe when you first went there? I was there at the time, and it was open. It was open. Having crazy fun.
Is he talking about the Norway tour?
I guess so.
Okay. If he's talking about the actual first time I was in Europe, we're talking early 80s. If he's talking about my beginning of my German tours, it was just a few years ago. We started touring in Germany. Anyway, whatever it was he's talking about, I love Europe. Europe is like, everybody's so welcoming. The crowds then and now haven't really changed much. That's what I love about it. And I guess you can stereotype and say Europe in general, but I just think everybody just has more fun in some ways. You know, we're a little bit more up in the U.S. And again, not everywhere in the U.S. It's so horrible to say that as a broad sweep, and I don't like to do that in anything actually, because there's some great crowds that I play for, but it just seems to be like it's just so much work, and everybody's trying to be so much cooler in the U.S.
Yeah, we're very trendy.
Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been there, saying you can work your ass off for somebody, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, dude, but it's fine. But I love it. I'm in Europe every year, and every year it just gets better. I just don't see, the crowds love it. They pack in. They just enjoy themselves. They just have a lot of fun. They need to quit smoking though. Besides that.
Well, yeah, no, a lot of the hard rock and heavy metal bands, American bands, they like going over to Europe more than they like touring America, because it's like,
absolutely,
people come out to the shows and they tour America, and it's like
exactly. And everybody's like, oh man, Roni, and I get all this, and I get a fanfare and a fan mail and stuff. And I go, really? Because I'm not seeing you at the show.
Yeah, music is still very relevant there.
Yeah, it's a little bit sad. I don't want to get too down on things, but in some ways it's just changed irrevocably. I just don't know that we'll ever get back to, there was you know, I don't want to too much back in the day, but honestly, you know, without social media, we still pack the clubs. How? And the bars and the venues, you know. I mean, people packed there. Well, how they know people were playing? Because they paid attention and they wanted to go out, and it was their interaction. Now my interaction is on here, you know, and it's not really interaction. It's fake interaction. So I tell people, you will not experience what you can experience live on this, or even a bigger one of these. Mine's small comparatively. Now it's like, remember the phones were like really small. Now the phones are like this again. Hello, you know. So it's just not the same, man. I will always prefer live to even to YouTube. No offense to YouTube. And I, you know what? It's also great because you can have the whole world here now. So it's just a tool, right? But it doesn't replace everything. It's just another tool. So
that's right.
Yeah, there's a trade-off.
There is.
And you know, I tell people I love going live on YouTube, you know, but I'd rather be playing in a club in front of 5 people.
Well, see, this kind of stuff is cool. This is what YouTube is really great for. You get to know somebody, you get to know how their personality and what their house looks like, or wherever they're staying, and their dog and everything like that. And that's interesting to me. I want to know that kind of stuff about people. But if I'm going to go see them live, it ain't going to be on a 3-inch screen. You know, I do watch YouTube videos, but I watch them more to hear the song than I do to watch a performance.
It's today's version of lifting the needle on the record to learn.
Exactly. Thank God we don't have to do that anymore. I am glad that's gone.
I know. Terrible. That was terrible.
What?
Terrible.
What?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my youth doing that, by the way. Probably why I didn't get into so much trouble, because it just took too long to figure songs out and guitar licks. You're learning guitar licks and you're learning them off of 33 and a third, you know, and you're like, man, it sounds an awful lot like this. And now I can just go watch the guy play it.
That's the best thing. Yeah.
And there's other guys that teach me how to play it that I actually watched, that I didn't tell anybody until you now, but I do. I just Google how to play.
We all do that.
You know, everybody does it. Okay, good.
Yeah,
well, that's why they're so famous, because everybody's doing it, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And now we finally get to learn how Jimmy Page really played a solo, right? Everybody had like, oh, no, I think he did it this way. No.
You actually see him do it.
Now we know.
That's it.
So anyway, no, it's cool. I love Europe. Every year I go, well, New York, now I'm going to add that to my list of places I love to play too. But it's tough there. It's tough there too.
So I have to read this one. Desiree says, Roni is an amazing woman. I loved hanging with her.
Oh.
Oh, well, that didn't cost you anything, did it? Did it, Dave?
Nope.
You know, she's a sweetheart. I think you should marry her or something.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah. Even though, you know, you just met her online right now.
I should marry her several times.
I think that would be cool if you did that. Just say you did it on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Get married on YouTube. You should get married on here.
Yeah, we tried that, but they don't want to do that.
Not going to happen.
Maybe we'll get their honeymoon on here. We'll sneak a camera in.
Oh. Ooh, webcam. Oh man, I'd subscribe to that one.
I'm sure you would. Man. I'm sure. I'm sure. The only person that wouldn't subscribe to it is Johnny. Johnny, he wouldn't do that.
No, he wouldn't do it.
No. So tell us about the song, The Young and Wild.
Oh, well, again, we were, Kim Fowley had put us together as a little writing team. Well, what happened was when we got hired, whoever got hired in the band had to go home and the night they were hired, or pretty much right afterwards, and write a song. And if you didn't write a song, you were fired. You had to write.
Wow.
I mean, this wasn't like it was tough, to get into this little crowd and to stay in. And I had never written a song in my life before. I'm like, I was playing, I was playing some disco. I was playing, Jeff Beck songs and I don't know, Grateful Dead and whatever, Led Zeppelin, but I had never written a song before. I didn't realize that was going to be part of the deal. So, so I kind of got the theme in my mind for I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. I just want to do things. I just want to be accepted like they are. You can walk into a place and tell somebody you play guitar and they believe you, but a girl walk in and they're like, sure, you do. Pat me on the head and you know, send me on my way. So I wrote, I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. So then he said, okay, you can write. So in fact, the Runaways took that tune and ended up making it their mantra, and we all played it. But then, so we had to keep writing, obviously. So then Steve, who was actually Venus, Stephen T, was the guy, was Venus. He came, and Danielle Faye and a few of us in the band just started writing songs. And we came up with one of the songs was that song, Young and Wild. And Van Halen started playing it. And they played it at the Whiskey, and I think they recorded it. But I lost track of it, to be quite honest with you, just like I did I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. I actually lost track of that song and where it was, because we all had publishing companies at the time. We had to all start our own publishing company, which I also didn't know how to do. And everything just disappeared, you know, just disappeared because we weren't making any money on it back then. Nobody made any money back then, by the way. The records didn't sell, you know, to that degree. The money didn't come in, and honestly, until Joan's song I Love Rock and Roll came out. Then everybody figured out who the Runaways were. I mean, not that the band wasn't successful and didn't do things, but people weren't buying it until she got, you know, global notoriety. So that changed everything. That's when the checks came in. And by that time, of course, Van Halen had not done anything with the song or anything like that. So significantly.
You can hear it on YouTube.
That's true. Yeah, it's out there. Just like a lot of our stuff, you know, is out there. But and people always ask me, like, my songs have been recorded by a number of people, and they ask me, you know, how do you get? You know what? I always think it's the best form of flattery. If somebody wants to do your song, believe me, if somebody makes any money off of it, I'll know. So I'll find it. I'll find him then.
Mikey Papa Blue has a great question for you. He says, Ronnie, what formula do you use when writing song? Do you start with a lick or chord or question marks?
I have two formulas. I'll either start. I'm constantly taking notes on my iPad or phone. Like I'll be, even if I'm gonna pretend like I go to the gym a lot. Even when I'm in the gym, that occasional time, you know, for some reason when I'm relaxing or if I'm walking or running like that, phrases will come up. So I'm constantly jotting down phrases for song ideas because I think songs should have a theme or you know, in classic rock or you're typically writing a story, right? You typically have a story that you're telling, kind of like country, but not as twangy. But I will also start sometimes with a lick. And so usually I'll have a lick that I really like, and then I'll search through my phone or my iPad for a corresponding phrase that I think works with that lick. And then we're kind of off and running. So it's usually a combination of the two, because I'll feel like, well, this phrase is suited for something, you know, crunchy and rocky, or maybe it's more suited for a power ballad or a rock ballad. So that's pretty much how it happens, though. And you just fill it in. And it's so true, you know, people ask me all the time, and Warren Hewart, we were talking because we have a mutual friend, Warren Hewart, is a great producer too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that guy's awesome.
He's awesome, a great guy. Yeah. And another guy that I worked with, Tim Eaton, great producer. All these guys, they'll tell you, nobody remembers verses. You know, I mean, you do in your favorite songs, but you're going to remember the chorus and the lick to this tune. Another great writer, Neil Girardo, who's Pat Benatar's guy.
Love him.
One of his methods, and I think he's an amazing songwriter. He says, make sure that somebody recognizes that song within the first 15 seconds. It's just got something that just goes, oh yeah, that's it. And if you think about it, every Pat Benatar song, you're right in there the minute it starts. You don't have to guess after 30, you know, third of the way in. So those are all ways to make a song popular, and that's what you want. You want to enjoy it yourself. but you also want other people to enjoy it. I think primarily that's what songwriters want. I guess you could be the kind, well, I don't care if anybody likes it, I'm just going to play it for myself. Well, I'm not like that. If I don't really enjoy it, if other people aren't enjoying it.
So don't take a minute and a half to get to the vocals.
Yeah,
Right.
and like, okay, where are we? Now Led Zeppelin, blows that whole theory right out in the water, but and so does Queen. So, and there's always an exception to things, those guys.
Rock royalty.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different situation. But if you're going to write a 3.5-minute song, you need to get in there and get it done,
Yeah, a lot of times it'll be like the chorus with like a melody over top of it without the vocal or something. Or sometimes it's the chorus full blown right off the bat, Just
a lot of songs start off like that, or just something or they'll start out with the line, the melody on something. It's just it's all in capturing that person because you want people to finish listening to the song.
Yeah.
I think one of the ways to find out if a song is really successful is you listen all the way through and you never go like, okay, when is this going to be over? And then you start it over again after you hear it. That's always the ultimate, success of a tune. However, I've also listened to songs before in pop music where I go, oh my God, I never want to hear that song again. And then sure enough, 65,000 times later, I'm enjoying it. But, only because someone's making me listen to it.
Yeah, well, stuff can grow on you too,
Things do grow on you. That's what I'm saying. Every time you try to make a rule, you break it with something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Queen.
They're made to be broken.
Rules are made to be broken. I have a song about that. Yeah. So there's always something to write about. Every life experience too there's always something to write about. So, being miserable is way better for songwriting. So try to get as much misery in as possible. Long nights, But I mean, it's true. It's kind of like Adele, she was a good example of someone who wrote a lot of great songs when she was in a bad situation, and then she got all happy, and we didn't hear from her for a while. So some people just write better when they're in that situation. I find that that's how we used to do it in the early on, and Joan wrote some great songs back in the day based on her angst too. But sometimes you get older, and it's your inspiration comes a little differently.
So as far as your writing, with you kind of feel it's easier to get music out of you when you actually have like lyrics that have a purpose or a certain topic.
Oh, absolutely.
So the music actually sticks to that vibe.
Yeah, I think a song has a personality. And so if I have a phrase that I'm going to build a song around, or the idea that I'm going to build a song around, I wrote a song called Heroes, and it's a lead song of the Warren Hewart album that I worked on. Actually, it had great players on it. Here's my name drop for the day. It had Kenny Aronoff, and it had Lynn Sorensen from Bad Company, and all these great players. And so I had their whole vibe too. And I write with Lynn a lot. Lynn and I play together quite a bit, and I've used Kenny on a lot of things too. And I just wanted they're just such emotional players. They can get a lot out of a song. So Heroes was written about my whole LA experience and standing there watching my heroes of rock and roll play, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, I hung out with him in the backstage at the Whiskey so many times in different clubs, and he wasn't unfriendly, but all he ever did was sit on the couch and go diddly 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 all the time, constantly. And we kind of made fun of him a little bit. Hi, Andy, come out here and play. Just hammer on, and now of course we realize that worked out pretty well for him.
It certainly did.
Yeah.
Ron Pageant asks, Ronnie, show us the guitar real quick.
Oh, yeah, I've held it up a couple times. So this is a custom PRS 22, 1991, I believe it is. It's been rebuilt by Paul a couple times. It's got 5708s in it, which I think are one of the best pickups on the planet. It's just a beautiful guitar. It's been well worn, as you can see.
Yeah.
And I bought this guitar from a guy at church, no lie. He was bragging because he said it doesn't have a scratch on it. it's in perfect condition. And I said, well, things are about to change because I plan on playing this thing, and I play this at every show. It's been to every country and everywhere with me. And here's a plug for my guitar case company, but Reunion Blues it hooks me up with some really nice cases, so I never have to check it.
Those are the cases I use too. I have a bunch of leather Reunion Blues gig bags. Yeah,
they are just spectacular cases, and I've flown in Germany, and like I said, some of those, they're so nice. If you're nice to people, they're nice back. And I've strapped it in its own seat a couple times with a guitar strap around it. And I love this. I don't know if I could. I don't know, man. If I did, I've had dreams that somebody stole this, and I woke up just in a cold sweat. That would suck. And people lose their guitars, man. It happens, because you got people helping you, and you got crew and stuff, and you lose track. And I do my best to keep track of this one. But PRS has some beautiful guitars. I guess if I had to, I'd get another one.
But there's no replacing your baby.
Yeah,
there's no replacing this one. This guitar feels like a third arm to me, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't feel any better than this. And I've had some nice guitars, but this is the one that, as you can see, I'm wearing it as jewelry today because it's so good. It's not plugged in to anything. And I don't use wireless. I use my pig hog cables. I go right into my deal. Real quick, I am a Soldano amplifier player. I play tube amps. I also play the Thomas Blug 100-watt microtube amp, which is a 3-pound, really small, wonderful amp to travel with. So because I'm a tube amp player. But Soldano hooks me up pretty much anywhere I am. Mike and I are very good friends. He just sold his company, but he has remained, consulting with them, and he still works closely with the boutique company that is now making Soldano. But I have a lot of his products, and I love the man, and I love his stuff. My guitar cabinets are typically either Soldano or orange. I do love the orange cabinet because I love the heavy wood. I get a nice deep sound out of them. I've got a couple of older Marshall cabinets that will sound good too, but I really love the orange. I just get a great sound. So whenever I can find someone that can pick them up, I use them because they are massive.
I totally get it.
They are beasts.
So
yeah.
What Soldano are you using right now? Are you using like a SLO 100 or something like that?
No, I use the Hot Rod 100. SLO is a little too much gain for me. I'm not a super high gain player, but Mike did make mine just for me. So mine has just some components to it after we had a long conversation, or quite a few of them, on how I like my amp to sound. So, but I'm using the chassis of a Hot Rod 100. Yeah. And then as far as pedals, I'm a big exotic fan. I love the exotic pedals. I use an exotic wah because you can change the sounds on those. They just have a really nice deep sound. Once again, like a heavy, more of a rocky, almost an overdriven sound. You can do a lot of things with the exotic wah. I have an exotic boost pedal, because sometimes my bass player just plays a little too effing loud, so I have to boost my sound a little louder. And so I have that, and then and through the effects loop, I just run a CE2 chorus and my delay. I've got my delay pedal, and that's it. That's all.
Everyone wave.
That's my daughter coming home from work.
Hello, la la la.
Hi.
People got to do what they got to do. She
That's
lets me hang out here when I'm on the road, so I'm in their space, but I'm still.
Yes.
And they've been really good. She's loaded and unloaded my gear many a time, believe me. So
the Dogpa asked Ronnie, do you remember Mike's shop on Melrose when he was sitting in there soldering stuff?
Oh, Mike Soldano?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, yes and no. I didn't become. We've been friends since the late 70s, but he hasn't been on Melrose, of course, for a long time. He's been in Seattle for years now. So, but yeah, in fact, he used to go to NAMM and do all that, but this last NAMM was the first time a Soldano amplifier hit the NAMM floor for 19 years.
Wow.
So it's been that long, and but yet, you know, I was with him last year, and it was right before Prince died, so couldn't have been last year. Time has flown, but I was at his shop up in Ballard, Washington, which is where his shop's been for years. And the guys from Prince called and ordered 3 amps, you know, and he's like, oh, okay, you know, he doesn't do a lot of his own soldering anymore, but yeah, definitely Mike was the dude back then. And,
so who owns Soldano now? Is it Egnator?
No, I think it's Boutique. There's this company called, I got their card, and quite honestly, I met them all at NAMM last year, because that was, again, the first time Mike hadn't been there in 10 years. And I met all the guys, but a quick Google would answer that. I know you guys are faster than me, but again, Mike's staying really in close, talking to them about the quality and how he does it and everything. So he's still working with them, but Mike has moved now, even from his Ballard location. In fact, members of my crew have been helping him. My Seattle guys have been helping him remove his long, you know, he's like a gear geek, you know, you guys collect stuff up to the ceiling. Plus he's a car guy. He's also got classic cars.
That's cool.
Oh, wow.
What is it with guys, guitars, and cars? And there's some other stuff that they like too, but we'll stop right there. But man, guitars,
what are you talking about?
I only have, I don't know about you, but I only have one car.
I only have one car, and it's a freaking minivan. Okay, so don't judge.
Oh, it's a mom. It's a mom car.
A classic '68 Camaro. I would. And Jeff Beck and I used to chat about cars a lot back in the day, because he's a big car buff too. I love.
It's a minivan too.
But I'll bet you anything. There's a van, at least of some type of van in his world right about now.
Mm-hmm.
I like minivans because you can load them easy, and you can watch movies and kick back and relax. And
I'm not making fun of them. They're easy to put gear in, and you can sleep in them if you have to.
People go, well, I'm not going to give up my SUV, and I go, really? Because it's a foot lower. So think about that. Anyway, it's all good, but we do change our priorities.
Mm-hmm.
You just met one of my 3 kids, so that changed some priorities for me. I did take a 20-year sabbatical. I was always playing, and I did some teaching, but I did not tour and I did not record because I was raising wonderful people. So I think that music is great. It's a big part of my life, but it's not everything. And it isn't, I don't live for it. It is one of those things that makes life wonderful, but it's not everything. That's just my philosophy. There's people, family, a lot of things that are more important than music. And I think music is just the way to express it, how those things affect you, you know. When I was younger, I would have said something different.
Oh, God, yeah. Me too.
Now,
yeah, all of us.
Yeah.
My first car was a Camaro. So James Gum says, speaking of guitars, who's ready to see a new guitar, Dave? Anybody?
Oh, yeah. I've been waiting. Bust it out.
Oh.
What?
Oh, okay.
I had to put chapstick on. My lips are getting dry.
Oh, and I've got a burrito waiting for me. I'm starving, but I'm gonna wait.
So, you're gonna wait?
I'm gonna wait. Yes, because I'm not gonna eat it.
That's gonna be you after you eat the burrito. That's gonna.
What?
So here's my flame guitar.
Oh my God! So where'd you get that body?
The body was made by K&E Guitars.
Okay.
The neck is it's Musicraft, and it's a 22 fret maple neck with stainless steel frets in it. Floyd, of course. The pickup is a Pariah Pasadena Black. The Floyd is from a 1985 ESP. It came off of an ESP from 1985, so it's an old one that I put a big brass block on. I don't know how it sounds yet because I broke my soldering gun and I can't wire it in. So
you're just a Frankenstein dude. Is that what you're basically?
I'm sorry?
like Frankenstein? Are you like Frankenstein? Yeah.
No, I'm a guitar player that builds guitars.
I know, but you're a Frankenstein guitar builder. You take things that you like from different.
Yeah, well, I build replicas of
Right.
famous guitars. That's what I do.
That's true too. But I mean, you could also build like the perfect man/guitar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Breathe life into it with electricity.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
And thank you for that. Yes, I suppose I can.
Yes.
But this guitar, I gotta say, I
might not be able to build. We've all been looking for that. Well, at least I have.
Yes, I know. Believe me. I'm looking for one every week. So this guitar, I can't. Although I put it together and I did the setup and everything, I can't really take much. It was so easy to put together. It just went together very easily. I didn't have to do a setup. I put the strings on. I put the Floyd on. It set up perfectly. The action was perfect. I didn't do anything to it.
Sometimes
sometimes guitars just go together, like they're supposed to go together, and this is one of them. It's just. I guess I'll find out in a couple days because I like to do final setups a couple days after I build them because they need time to settle.
Do you ever have a problem with the neck, having to heat the neck up? Is that bolt-on? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a bolt-on. Most of my guitars are bolt-on guitars.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But I never have to do much, much to the necks. I can pretty much sight a neck before putting it on a guitar and make sure that it's going to be right when it's on the guitar because I kind of know what they need to look like before strings are on them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any problems after you string it up?
No, usually not. And if I do, I just take the 4 bolts out and crank the neck or crank it back, whatever needs to be done. It's usually within a tolerance that's acceptable, other than just minor tweaks.
And do you play that guitar?
I will play this guitar. Like again, I just built it today. So
I mean, when you build a guitar, will you play it for a while and sort of break it in, or you kind of move to your next project?
No, I'll break it in for a couple weeks.
Yeah, you'll play it for a while.
Yeah,
kind of get to know it.
Yeah,
friends.
Yeah, I love being friends with all my guitars.
I kind of think I have to do that. I bought myself a gold top because I got my gold top stolen, my original one, many years ago, and I bought myself one of the new ones. It's ported, which people are like, it's ported. I go, hey, I got this back. So I bought the ported Les Paul, tapered neck, gold top standard. I had all the electronics ripped out and had it put back in the right way because it was all digital,
So you had like 50s wiring put in.
Well, originally I had 21 page, the Page's 21 position put in because I thought I would use it with push pulls. Never did. And I couldn't remember anything because I can only remember up to 3 positions. So I said, well, this is ridiculous. So I had that torn out and I had the regular wiring put in. But now, because it's a new guitar, you just have to play it for a while, So I've been playing it, and now it's feeling good. It's feeling good to me. And I thought Gibson is, they're kind of trying to come back. They were almost bye-bye. They came back to NAMM last year, and who knows? Maybe they'll see the light. I don't know.
Well, see,
all they do is build some nice guitars again, like they did. They know how to do it.
I went to Sam Ash the other day, and on the wall they had a bunch of 2019 Gibson USA. That really looked good. I mean, I played a couple of SGs, and I'm not really an SG player, but they were, first of all, they were good looking.
I agree. And no one, they've been getting a lot of slams lately. I bought my Les Paul's in 2016. But I bought it for the studio because I do like that sound, and I also bought it because I do some Zeppelin, and I love playing Led Zeppelin. And I've played Bonzo Bash a few times, and sometimes we just get together and play Zeppelin. So you got to have a Les Paul, and it sounds great. And I was a former Les Paul player, and yes, there's some beautiful ones out there, but this one was a few grand, and I think it plays great. I really, really do. I think those newer Gibsons are nice guitars, so it wouldn't replace this one, but it's definitely it's a great different sound. If you're going to have another guitar, I'm not one of those people that have a lot of guitars because I just don't play them, and I'm also one of those people that plays what I have. Like even with my endorsements, and I have a lot of endorsements. I'm pretty much on everything, but I don't take anything I don't want. I don't take extra anything. I don't have a bunch of them just because I can. It's just I'm either going to play it or I'm not going to play it. So it's, I have a Strat that someone actually gave me just as a gift, and so I appreciated that, and I had that kind of rebuilt the way it's an American Strat, nice. I love rosewood necks. And I noticed that now they're starting to do this thing where they're going to allow us to take rosewood overseas. I just saw that. Did anybody see that the other day? They're changing the rules on that. Because that can be a problem. You don't want to take your guitar over there and then find out, it's illegal and have them take it. That would be like terrifying to me.
Yeah, it's going to get confiscated.
Yeah, so you have to be really careful. Usually you tell them it's the good kind. And they, if you act like you know what you're talking about, and most of the time you can pull it off, but God forbid. So, so my guitars are all rosewood necks, and I think I have a Telly somewhere. I don't know, somewhere, but
cool.
That's it. I have 3 or 4 guitars,
Well, you got all the major food groups there.
Exactly, and that's what I say. You're so right. There's my point. I've got a guitar that has that sound, and I don't need anything else. I would like to have a 335. I've used the 335 in the studio a number of times, and Joan used to play a 335. If you look at her younger stuff, a lot of us use those for rhythm guitars. She's a rhythm guitarist, not really a lead guitarist. So a lot of her stage stuff and a lot of our rhythm guitars in the studio are 335. Just has a great sound in studio. Just a great tune sound for that. So
well, they used to call the 335 the Les Paul killer. Because usually they would sound much better than the Les Paul would.
Not an untruth. The fact I was just I record guitars in Ventura, a friend of mine's studio in Ventura, and he's got all my stuff, some of my stuff sampled, but he's also got a good collection of guitars. And he's got Les Pauls, and he's got the 335 and everything. And I bring that thing down almost every time. Well, every time for rhythm. It's awesome.
I love those guitars.
I know, right? And they you know what? They're weighted really well. That's a big thing for me too. I don't like to play guitar that goes, well, you've got a flying V. They're constantly like, okay, how is this thing supposed to work on my body? I think 335s, considering how big they are, probably because of the way that their body is and the hollowness in there, it's still weighted well. It has to hang well. So because the position of your hands are important when you're playing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You gotta have your hand. Some people like to play up here and they do it well. I don't. I have to have it at a certain spot. And
it's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll. And I'm not a super low, slung low player, but I don't play real high either. So it's gotta sit where it sits. And 335s, I think, they just have a great weighting. Strats do too, but again, Strats to me not quite as comfortable. But I've never been a Strat girl. So, Nag guitars. The story with those. Let's talk about Larry Mitchell again. Nag guitars were made by the guy that worked for PRS. Is now the guy that makes Nag, which I did not know.
Joe Nags.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't know he worked for PRS back in the day.
Yeah, he worked there for a long time. I didn't know it. He was part of the private stock program.
What?
Okay, now we know. Now we know everything.
Yeah, he used to build the super duper expensive PRSs for the private stock.
Well, you can tell because Larry's guitars are like the private stock stuff.
Yeah.
And the private stock stuff is vastly different than the SEs. But
I've got a buddy that owns like 4 or 5 of them, and that's all he plays.
What's his name?
His name is Dennis Del Gaudio.
Where does he live?
Yeah, let's go find his house.
He lives about 5 minutes away from me.
Shoot him a little message for me, would you?
Sure.
Anyway, no, they're beautiful guitars, obviously. And Paul is he did the same thing as Joan did. Ran around town and worked out of his trunk, handing his guitar to people and saying, play this, play this, play this. That's how Santana started. How Carlos Santana started playing it. So please play my guitar. Please play my guitar. And eventually people started playing it. And he just walked around with his guitar out of his car and said, "Play my guitar." It's awesome. So
speaking of nags, I love watching the Instagram videos that he does when he's like staining the guitars or doing stuff. It's like just staring there watching him. This is awesome.
I know. There's such beauty in these things. You know, when you look at these, I mean, they're just freaking. I mean, like, yeah. I get more comments on my guitars on my guitar than and I have another PRS too. But again, this one, unless I break a string, what's the point? You know. And I will say, with the floating bridge, when you break a string, you're done.
Yep.
Party is over on that guitar for that song. So that's the other reason I keep a couple extras. But I rarely break strings, again, because of the way the bridge is. They're constructed to not break strings. And people always brag. Plus, I have it endorsed. There's my other shout out to Ernie Ball. Is I use their new Paradigm strings. I just don't have problems. I never really broke strings very much before, but now it's like I have to remember, when was the last time I changed my strings? And I should probably do it now. But, it's just the way this guitar is built. And then in conjunction with a really well-made string, I just don't. And I've been, I go up to, a couple of steps, many, and I use my whammy bar ridiculously. I mean, religiously, and very aggressively. And I still don't have any problems, So
yeah. Soda asks if you ever refretted that guitar.
It has been not refretted, but again, I've sent it back to the PRS factory a couple times. About every 3 years, I send it back, and they do some miracle stuff to it, and it comes back with little toys and gadgets and surprises, and they usually replace all the hardware. They've yet to replace the frets because they just haven't needed it, and by the looks of things and the feel of things, it's probably going to be a few years before it would require that. But I will definitely be sending. This guitar won't get serviced anywhere but in Maryland. That's just the way it is. I have some great guitar guys too that work on my stuff, but this one, and I would be nervous about it. I got to be honest. And the first time I sent it back to PRS to have a lot of major work done, I was terrified because they sent it back and they sent all the hardware back in a baggie, and I had the new pickups on it. It's 5708s. And I was like, oh my God, they changed the pickups. So what am I going to do if I don't like them? What's going to happen? And what am I going to say? Because, and I played it and was like,
Yeah, Paul he does that. He'll want you to play his newest pickup always.
Yep. And you couldn't even buy them when he put them on my guitar. They weren't for sale. So when somebody else saw them, they was like, they said, well, I can't get a set. I don't even know where these came from. So I think you can buy them now though. They're out there, but it was life-changing putting these pickups on from what was on it before.
Wait, so did you ask him to put them on, or did he just put them in?
Yeah, that's what Paul does. With his artists, he just, your guitar goes into the shop and he gives you the newest thing.
And so you send it in, and Win is the guy that is the artist rep out in LA. So I go to Burbank a lot and hang out there, and they have they've got some great amplifiers too. I've done some guitar clinics for PRS, and I did their. They have some amps coming out that are pretty awesome too. So. The Archon, have you heard of that one? It's a tube amp that PRS is doing. They're made by this kid who came in to design amps with them. I wish I knew more. I wasn't prepared to drop names because I'm not really bad at remembering them. I have to make notes. But they're designing, and they're much more high gain. Paul's a Fender guy. He loves his Fender style amps, and his PRS amplifiers have been more along that line. But now these Archons are ripping, great tube amps, right along that whole Black Star, Marshall, Soldano level. Really great amps. So whole different level of rock.
I'd like to hear those. I'd like to hear one of those.
Yeah, you could. I mean, I'm sure there. What do you have out there, Sam Ash?
Sam Ash Guitar Center, but we also have a lot of small boutique shops.
Well, try the Archon, man, because it's. I mean, I would be playing one if I wasn't with Mike. I'd be playing. They're just great amps.
I think the Music Zoo might have. I know they carry Paul Reed Smith, and they're probably the biggest boutique guitar shop.
Yeah, you have to get somebody that's probably, like you said, a PRS store or something like that. Because you don't just walk in and see him too much. I don't even think I've seen him at Guitar Center. Not that I go there very often, to be quite honest. But Bananas at Large, I think, had him up in the Bay Area when we did a clinic up there.
Yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have been up there? Yeah, I did a clinic there for PRS. And then we played at a local club somewhere right after. That was fun.
Bananas at Large?
Bananas at Large.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Joe Satriani's hang. I guess Joe
Satriani hangs out. They sold a lot of his stuff there too, like his actual guitars.
What I'm saying. I think that's his. I think they personally rep his stuff. So a lot of Satriani things there, and Joe was at the Vi clinic actually with us. So I didn't go to any of his clinics, but great player. Again, different style of me, but I appreciate it. So it's cool.
I think it's burrito time.
Hush.
I think somebody's having a snack.
Mute it. We can hear you unwrap. There you go.
No, I didn't unwrap anything. I just took the guitar off my lap.
Oh, okay.
Do you see anything on my face? Come on.
I have a spinach salad waiting for me, and I thought it might not be a good idea for me to eat spinach salad. Like, hey, have a spinach salad?
Yeah. And nobody wants to tell you, and you watch it later, you're like, nobody told me.
I know, and I knew that would happen. I was going to go, I would eat the salad, and then I would find it later because you guys wouldn't say anything. God dang it.
If we didn't have a guest on tonight, I would be munching on this burrito during the show, but I can't do that to Ronnie.
Well, I don't know.
Make sure when you heat it up, put it in the microwave with the foil on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
Who do you think I am?
It'll heat faster.
I cook for a living.
Makes it hotter.
Yeah.
Make the whole house pretty hot.
You guys. Oh my gosh. Well, is it dinner time?
It can be.
It can be.
Dinner time, yeah.
Do you have any more embarrassing questions for me? Or unembarrassing?
Were there any embarrassing questions? Did we have any already?
Like my worst moment on stage, maybe?
Yeah, I love hearing those.
What was your worst moment on stage?
When the stage was shorter than I thought it was.
Oh,
so when was this?
I've had a couple of those actually. But here's what happens when I do fall off a stage. I always take somebody or something with me because you might as well go big, And so I took my singer with me once. We went off, and in those days, thank goodness I haven't fallen off any stages recently because it would be disastrous now. I fell the other night in the parking lot, actually at the Joan Jett thing, and I've been nursing a swollen ankle. I am a bit of a klutz, I'm not gonna lie. But when you're young and you fall, you're so bouncy, It's just you can just fall up like getting rolled down the stairs at a barrel. I'll be like, just another day.
It's very funny because when you're a child and you fall and you're near your parents or you're near other people, usually children look at their parents' face to see if they're hurt or not. Like if the parents go, then they start crying. But if the parents say, "Oh, you're okay," then they just keep running.
Yeah, I point and laugh at Ellie when she falls.
Yeah, I look at them, and if they're not, they look at me, and if I'm not looking, if I haven't seen them fall, it's not as painful. But if I see it, then they got to work it for as much as they. My oldest son is the most famous for that one. That was his deal. If I just ignored him, he's like, "Well, this isn't worth it. I'm not going to get anything out of this one." I did have another moment on stage that was pretty exciting at the whiskey. I was wearing that same jumpsuit that Rick Derringer gave me, right? And this is actually I don't know if it's the same night. I'm not going to say it's the same night, but somebody stepped on my Les Paul and broke the neck off. That's another time. But this time I'm singing. And back in the day when you're just a little wisp of a kid and you have the little tatas and they're small and you can just tuck them in and you just tape them. You just tape stuff.
I do that today.
Yeah, you didn't. Okay, you did. You've got duct tape. Then you're just okay. You're managing everything with duct tape. Which, by the way, of course, duct tape isn't the answer for everything, right? So I had everything sort of taped in, and I had it zipped down fairly low, and we're rocking and rolling. Well, the zipper on the front of the jumpsuit just busted open,
and all was revealed.
So my road crew, ever ready and ever present, I turned around like, I mean, it was a huge failure of clothing, way more than the one at the Super Bowl. That was nothing. So the guy runs up to me and just rolls duct tape around me and taped the whole thing up.
Awesome.
And duct taped me up, and we finished the set because the show must go on.
I think Nicki Minaj does that these days.
So could you imagine if that was nowadays? I mean, there'd be 15 different camera angles of it happening.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Yeah, there was no proof it happened except for taking that duct tape off.
Oh, I bet.
Later. I'll never forget that either.
Poor things.
Yeah, that was a difficult night.
Oh,
but a lot of costume failure. I've watched other band members fall off the stage, you know, that kind of stuff happened. But the costume failure at the Whiskey was a big deal.
John BL asks if you've ever played any of those legendary backyard parties in Pasadena with Van Halen.
Oh, the Longhorn. Well, I played they played the Longhorn Saloon back then. No, I did not know them when they played the parties, but they are a Pasadena band, so that's what they used to do before they made it to the Whiskey and playing clubs, and clubs like the Longhorn, which is an old club. Also, is he from Pasadena? Ask him.
John BL, I think, lives in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
but he's like a historian. He's like a Van Halen historian.
Yes, but there were other houses that we did play quite a bit with me and the Runaways, but Van Halen was not there. Van Halen had their own little crowd up in Pasadena, and they did do a lot of backyard parties. You're right, and so did we, but different crowd.
Oh, sorry, John BL. He's from Massachusetts, not from Connecticut. Up above me, somewhere above me.
Somewhere up in the northern area.
Yeah. And I agreed with you and said he's near New Halen. What is wrong with me?
What?
I said I agreed with you and even said he lives near New Halen.
Yeah. Well, it's near. I guess it's like within 100 miles or so, right?
Yeah, it's close enough, right?
Yeah.
No, but God, we definitely hung out in the streets together, and of course, Tower Records, famous place. Jimmy Page's favorite hangout was Tower Records before he cleaned himself up. So he used to be there quite often on doing the drug of his choice, and he would be back in that. Oh, it's funny because they all into classical music, so we'd hang out in the classical music section and do that stuff. But all up and down Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard, rather, just living there. Hanging out at the Riot House, which was the Hyatt House, which is the same hotel that Led Zeppelin stayed at when they threw the TVs into the pool, which they really did too. Yeah. That was crazy. I stayed at that hotel quite a bit. Wilt Chamberlain used to come in and pick up girls and bands and rock and take everybody up to his house in limos, and we'd all party up there. Huge parties at Wilt Chamberlain's house.
Wow.
Something else at Chamberlain's house too.
Oh.
What now?
No, I said huge something else at Wilt Chamberlain's house too, I heard.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of drugs and stuff going on, and I hung out with Cher was there a lot.
Cher?
Robin Williams. I've done a
lot of things.
Lines of things we rehearsed our lines a lot back then. He was in Mork and Mindy at the time.
A lot of Krell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was very much did a lot of cocaine back then and a lot of stuff like that. But yeah. Wow. And
that was the time to do it.
If your heart could take it, and apparently when you're young it can, for most people.
Steve Carmichael Steve Carmichael asks you, do you have any videos of your band or others from back in the day?
I don't have any videos, unfortunately, that I'm aware of Venus and the Razor Blades. And I've been looking because I know there's some. I do have old videos from the Roni Lee group just a few years after that. Because we went to New York, and then when I got signed by a management company in Seattle after all that broke up and the Runaways broke up, Venus and the Razor Blades broke up. So there is video for that. Maybe some smart Googling. We are trying to kind of redo some of the archives for that as well, too. So I'd love to see some of that old Venus and the Razor Blades, because I've got live shots of it from the Starwood, actually. Some great live shots from there and the whiskey, but I don't have any video, which is a bummer. Yeah, that I'm aware of. Things keep popping up. People emailed me stuff that I don't know about. So
Brendan B Squared asks if you've ever played a cigar box guitar. Now, the reason I ask is because Brendan actually makes and builds cigar box guitars.
I know of their page, and I am friends with them, or aren't I on Facebook? Because I've interacted with them before. Am I not thinking of the right company? Because it's Cigar Box Guitars on my Facebook page.
No,
So
Brendan B Squared, I think, is his name.
I'll have to look it up. But I guess to answer the question, if I've played one, no, I haven't played one. That would be cool. But I haven't done that. Again, this one gets a lot of action. But I love trying out new stuff, and I do. I'm getting better at trying things. I'm not a huge pedals girl, and I'm not. I don't use a lot of pedals because I haven't, but I'm starting to step out into that world a little bit and play with some things, because there's some great stuff out there, I got a lot of ideas from Steve I and those guys about just using a pedal and taking it to its limit and then backing it off and seeing how it can work for you. So it's cool, especially when you're a trio player like I am. It is nice to really fill up the stage when you want to, with some different sounds and things like that. Maybe going stereo, which I haven't done before, thinking about doing that, or very least two guitar cabinets, which Rob Balducci, yeah, he does that, and I'm a new fan of his since we played with him in Long Island. What a great player. He was in Vegas for the last couple weeks, and normally I'm there. That's where my house is, and I haven't been there this summer because it's too hot. So I've been in LA because I live in both places. So can't figure out where to. It's just too hot for me, and and I like traveling, and I'm on the road quite a bit. In fact, I think the next month I'm in Los Angeles for a show, and then I'll be in the Northwest the end of October. And to check out our tour, it's RoniLeeGroup.com/tour, and you can see where we are. But we keep pretty busy out there quite a bit. And I use different players depending on where I am. So I pick up players.
You need to come out to New York and play.
I am. I'm planning on being in New York in April. That's my goal. So I'll be booking for April if anybody has ideas. I've got what I am going to be booking, but I like to visit different places and play different places. So There you go. Hi, Rumi. Anyway, we're getting busy around here, so I'm probably going to have to roll.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you guys wanted to ask or know, or anything? Questions we need to?
How about a part 2 at some point?
I would love to do a part 2. We can talk about recording, and we can talk about more stories of the road and all kinds of goodies.
Awesome.
Great. I'd love to. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I'll get a speed round ready to go for you, because sometimes we have a guest on, and I'll do a just a rapid fire question and answer thing.
Yep.
No, you know what? Do you have the same one ready? Do you have the same one?
It's the same. I'd rather make one for Roni instead of just going through and like, okay, this is cool.
Girls to be dated on the road. Yeah, that would be for somebody else. Not necessarily, I guess, but
okay.
I love those actually, because you have to, it's always that first answer that's the right one, you know, when you don't have a chance to think about it. So that would be cool. Sure.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Yeah,
Oh, awesome. You and I will keep in touch, of course. And then when you're ready to come back on, or I'll ask you from time to time, and yes or no, it's fine.
Just keep me posted. Like I said, I'm traveling most of the time, and I'm always, I can find wherever there's internet.
That's where you'll be.
There isn't always. I was supposed to be at a rehearsal studio today, and they don't have internet there. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? So apparently it's
unheard of.
I don't know. I just didn't want to risk it because that would have sucked. So I came back here, but
they probably don't have internet there, so the bands will keep on task.
The guy is just cheap and he just doesn't want to. But I don't know. I've never heard of that before. I was disappointed by that. It was just not a place we typically rehearse. So it was something that we're working on. Because
that is kind of a distraction. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, like back in the day, there was none of this stuff, and you played your guitar and you wrote. And
I remember so much more focused in some ways back then. I wasn't multitasking. There just wasn't any tasks to do. So there, I mean, I guess there was. In some ways, it was more difficult. But when you think about it, like all we had was we could fax. I think whenever fax started, I don't know, but we definitely could phone call and mail stuff. But that was it, right?
Yep.
And life somehow managed to happen, and albums sold millions, and bands got booked and played, and the crew showed up, and they showed up on time. I don't know. Sounds crazy.
If you would have told a band or producer from the 70s, 80s, whatever, that, hey, in 30, 40 years, you're going to be able to record a full album and never have any of the band members get in the same room together, they'd be like, what? How is that possible?
Or record a full album. Can we stand that a little harder? Or record a full album in various countries.
Yeah.
And never even incredible. Which kind of sucks, to be honest with you. The way I record still to this day is I got to have my rhythm section and me in the same room. I always do that. Sometimes the bass player will get lazy and sit in the booth or in the
control room. In the control room?
In the control room, yeah. Just because, I don't know, it's fine. But I really like having that core first recording in together. I'll stand out there with them. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the way. It's just a lot of just kind of
energy.
keeps it kind of energetic, because that's really important how you get the first bass, the first guitar, the first drum, that initial energy thing is super important to build the rest of it on. I got to guys to do that.
It also keeps it human, like it keeps it the human feel, it doesn't sound robotic.
Absolutely. I know other people can pull it off. It's just the way I like to do it. It's just I got to look at those guys, and we got to, and I sing the song. I'll sing for 6 straight hours, full on out. It might not be the take that we use, because I usually don't do vocals that way, but I'll sing it into everybody's ears so they can get it, and they can play with that energy. In fact, that was one of the things that Kenny said to me when we first worked together. He goes, "Good God, you work hard." And I go, "Well, so do you." That guy is the hardest working drummer I've ever seen in my life.
He's amazing.
He is amazing. Great guy. So hang around with people like that, play with good people, play with people that are better than you, makes you look good, right? That's my theory.
Well, John BL, our friend John BL, put your link in the chat. So
thanks, John. Appreciate
everybody
that.
click on that.
He's really our producer. John BL's our producer. Isn't that right, John?
Okay. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm easy to find. There I am. Oh,
There it is.
John. Yeah. Cool. My best friend now.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're easy to find.
Well, I put your link down in the description like 2 hours ago. So.
Oh, Johnny,
So you are the guy.
Well, I got you to come on the show.
Well, your wife gave me a ride down the driveway.
Yeah,
Made sure I didn't get
she's cool.
abducted by a crazy Uber driver.
She's cool like that. Yeah, the Uber drivers here are insane.
Why doesn't it say Uber anywhere on the car? And this car is like 18 years old, which I think is okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Borrowed from his mother. But anyway, whatever. You know, I'll get.
Desiree said that was the same day.
It's just, you guys were great. You were very, very hospitable. And Larry looked very comfortable. I think he slept his way through most of our visit.
Yeah.
I tell people, Larry, let's talk about Larry Mitchell again, but he's so funny because I've been in a lot of stuff with him, played a lot of shows with him, and he takes naps wherever he can find them. Like you'll look over and he's just got his boots up, hats over his head, and it's good night, Larry.
And that's how he's able to do all the shows he does. That's how he's able to travel.
That is, that's a talent right there. He's talented in so many ways, and one way is sleeping. Sleep is something that we just get less and less of the busier you get.
You ain't kidding. And even if you're not busy, you get less and less of it. It's horrible.
Oh God, yeah. So anyway, I don't know how we got there, but anyway, thank you for everything, Dave.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
And anytime, yeah. We've got a lot of fun things coming up. I've got some new songs. I'll be in the studio coming up here next week. I'll be in the studio, like I told you, with one of my favorite drummers. Sometimes I think I write songs just so I can go in the studio with great drummers. I'm not going to lie. It's really exhilarating for me to play with some of these guys. They're just phenomenal. So I just can't wait to see what they'll do with the music. I kind of let them. We'll do pre-production on a song, and we all get together in a room and play it. Mm-hmm. And I just go, you just play it how you would play it. What would you do this song? Give me your feelings and thoughts on it. And a lot of times I'll make changes based on what these guys come up with. If like what Kenny did with Jack and Diane,
Yeah.
The guy challenged him. He said, you got to play a drum solo in this song. And Kenny's like, this is not a solo drum. This is not a drum solo song. What am I going to do here? And his famous line is, he goes, I'm 20 steps away from my career, happening or not happening. And as he got closer to the drums, he had no idea what he was going to play. So he sits down and and there you go.
And whenever you hear that song, you can't not hear that drum solo. Like when you think of the song, you play the drums with that.
Going back to our thing with Neil Girardo and all those guys, and getting something recognizable like that, but simple. He could have just and Kenny's plays a lot. Kenny can be a busy guy, so he could have went in there and just flailed, but he didn't. Man, he just played the perfect thing at the perfect time. And
well, that's a great drummer. Is somebody that, great musician in general is somebody that, go ahead and play a solo during this part. A lot of people would just be like, doing crazy stuff where it's like, hey, I'm going to be tasteful, even though I can blow the doors off the place.
Playing to the song is an art.
Yeah.
And because I play with so many different musicians, I also play with a lot of people that don't do that. And they're either they're trying to impress either you or whoever, or whatever they're trying to do, or they're just not listening to the song. And some songs, especially in rock and roll, kind of rock I play, is pretty simple. But simple's not easy. Simple, a simple rock beat sometimes is the hardest. I've played songs where like, man, I've turned around in my rhythm section before and yelled, find a tempo. For God's sakes, find a tempo.
That's the worst. It's the worst when a drummer has a horrible ear.
Yeah, it can be tough, but a good drummer, a good musician, period, like you said, just plays to that song and puts what's supposed to be there. And that's a talent, man. Takes experience too. We all want to play a lot. I do the same thing. I'll go in the studio, I play a solo. First solo is, wow, how many notes can I get into one 8-bar situation? And then people start bringing me back. I work with Dave Jenkins, the engineer I work with a lot. He's actually Kenny Arnoff's engineer as well. And I met him through want to say Warren Hewart, but maybe it was vice versa now. I can't remember. But anyway, Dave's great with that. He's really good at telling me I'm overplaying without insulting me. Or, Ronnie, that string's a little bit out of tune. I mean, he's got a great ear for that. Good engineers can help you out with that stuff without, stepping on you too much.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always right. And he'll go, why don't you try the 335? And I love having suggestions in the studio. I have no problem with it. Don't always agree, but I like to have them because it opens. I don't mind that at all. It doesn't bother me one bit, to have someone's outlook on or perspective on it, especially if it's somebody that I respect,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, makes for good sounds. It's all about the song. I look at a song like it's its own entity when I'm recording. And now it is not my song anymore. Now it takes on its own life. So it's like a baby, and whatever you got to do to nurture that baby, make that baby grow up, and whatever it takes to do that is now what's going to happen. And you got to just put your ego out of the door when it comes to that. Now you have to create something, as good as it needs to be the best it can be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that makes better music. Isn't that philosophical cool?
It's all good.
There we go.
All good. Yeah.
We can end with that.
All right. That's
great.
cool. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks,
It's great to meet all of you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I always got one hand like that. That's really impressive. It's burrito time for you, and I don't know, California, whatever it is. It's late for Dave, I know.
That's okay. It's Friday night. It's the
Friday
weekend.
night, man. We're just getting going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're
Okay,
just
good.
starting. We're just starting there.
So the funny thing is I don't really know how to turn this off, so you'll probably just be watching me for the rest of the
All right,
night.
so on the bottom of the screen, there's a little red X that says "Leave Studio." Click on that.
Oh, see, those words are very small.
Well, before you do that,
yeah, it does say that.
Before you do that, are we gonna go on, or are we gonna stop this now?
You guys can go. I have to put Ellie to bed. So
I'm thinking let's just say goodnight, and we can say goodnight to Ronnie off air.
Good night, Irene. I'll say goodnight to you guys, and happy trails. Lots of rock and roll in your future.
Yes.
Good night.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Who
Again.
hangs up first? Is this the awkward moment? Okay.
Link down below for all Ronnie's links, her Facebook, Instagram, and official website.
Official website, Instagram, and all that stuff. Yes. Thanks, boys. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. All right. Ciao.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, everyone.
Okay, now she's gone.
Oh, there she goes.
bye, everybody. I gotta go.
So long.
Oh no, it's just me and you now.
Johnny left. That's so.
F this and F that. And